Hello everyone, back to you into our latest forecast United States. So we're going to have a look at the weather for the next 10 to 14 days for the USA, and we'll be able to extend out to next 4 weeks CFSB2 as well, so that will take us into early January. So yeah, this is the weekly week 10 day look ahead for the United States. I shall get on it for you very shortly. Just say we're going to be live streaming from 6 o'clock British time. So if you'd like to check into the live stream, then please do so. And we'll be live with our 10 to 14 day update for the UK and for Europe as well. From 6 o'clock this evening, from 6 until 7 o'clock. So I shall see you all there live for a live stream from 6 o'clock. But let's go on the USA forecast. So we're going to start off with the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts, Penn State University, for the next week, 10 days. This takes us to Christmas. This takes us to 26th of December. So just up to and just after Christmas Day. We've got the ECMWF here on the left, and GFS is over there on the right. So 500 millibars is now in the active high pressure, low pressure, up being moved around by the jet stream running above. Red extrapolates high pressure, blue to low pressure. This looks cold for America. Just look at this. Deep trough of low pressure is extending in through the north and the Midwest and the east of the states in the 7 to 10 day time frame, with a ridge out towards the southwest. Another deep trough off the Pacific coast of the states. And look what the jet stream's doing. The jet stream's going to be plunging through America, or northern, eastern, and midwestern America anyway, like that. This is a cold trough of them. This is going to bring brutal cold. This will potentially bring absolutely brutal cold out of Canada and into the Midwest, northern and eastern parts of the states over the Christmas period. There could be snowstorms and blizzards over Christmas across northern, eastern and midwestern America, and absolutely brutal cold as well. Now the cold may not last all that long, just a very quick plunge of severe cold weather, but we really are looking at a very, very extreme cold shot pushing out of Canada around the Christmas period. The GFS is very similar, so again we've got this trough digging down through the Midwest of America, and it will push over into the east as well. Jet streams plunging southwards with that too. So out of the two, the ECM has the trough like the deepest, and is bringing, I think, like the severest of the cold air with it, but they're both going in the same direction. Really, which does suggest a plunge of brutal cold weather into northern, eastern and Midwest America through Christmas. There is already a snow event going on across eastern parts of America, actually, at the moment, in northeastern states. Got a northeaster and heavy snow coming up over the next few hours. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles the next couple of weeks. So the red line, we're looking at New York City today. Red line, 30 upper air temperature average for New York. So we're quite cold at the moment. And we've got like a big precipitation spike going on as well. And a lot of that is going to be snow. So some places will have in excess of a foot of snow in eastern and northeastern America in the next few hours, like the next day or so. After it goes a little bit milder as we run up towards Christmas. So going up towards Christmas, going a little bit milder. This is Christmas itself through here. There is quite a lot of scatter with this, and like a real plunge is taking place. So let's try and isolate out the GFS operational run, which is this thick green line just here. So for a while, just before Christmas and into Christmas Day for New York, that actually gets really mild with the upper air temperature on the operational run. But look what happens by like 26th, 27th December. The operational run, it shows that upper air temperatures plunge to around minus 20. So we go to from something like plus 10 Celsius at 850 HPA just before Christmas to around minus, or getting close to minus 20 at 850 HPA on the operational GFS run just after Christmas. That is an incredible plunge in temperature that's taking place there. And so, although it's not all that apparent, but there is a very cold spell coming up, this is because it all depends on the timings of this trough pushing through. But for a while, I think for a few days, just after Christmas, it is going to get very, very cold in the east. So the Midwest will get that cold plunge a little bit earlier on. Then as we head towards the new year, it probably does start to get milder then as winds return to the west of the jet stream pushes back northwards. Precipitation wise, so we've got a big snow event coming up, of course, in the east and the northeast over the next day or so. Then it goes drier as we run towards Christmas. And then, of course, as that trough pushes through Christmas, that will bring initially probably heavy rain and then rapidly turn into very heavy snow and blizzards as the cold air sort of digs in from Canada. And you know, then just quite unsettled, really, as we run up towards the new year. This is how the temperature anomaly is looking from the 16th to the 24th of December. So it's going to be a bit colder than average out in the west. Also, some of the southern and eastern states are a little bit cooler than average. Through the Midwest, actually, it is going to be milder than average in the weekend. But that brutal cold plunge doesn't come along until to the north and the Midwest doesn't come along until like the Christmas period or just before Christmas period. Precipitation anomalies look like that. Most parts of the states are quite dry, but it is going to be wetter than average towards the northwest, and it's a little bit above average with precipitation on some of these eastern and northeastern states. And again, that is because of the snow event that we've got coming up over the next day or so. Right, so this is how the GFS midnight operational run is looking for today. So we've got cold air established into the east and northeast. There's low pressure running up the east coast as well. There's the upper air temperatures for today, showing that it is cold in these eastern and northeast sections. As the low pressure runs up from the south, it sort of engage that those cold upper air temperatures, and that's where the snow is coming from in the next few hours. Here is the low, like at midnight on Thursday. So the low is running up the east coast, and of course, as that comes into the cold air, that will be dumping quite a lot of snow into this eastern and northeastern part of America. So that moves further northwards as we go through to Thursday. A bit of a northeaster there down into the eastern coastal areas will bring like heavy snow to eastern and northeastern parts of the states. Again, there could be a foot of snow in some of those eastern and northeastern areas. Elsewhere, it's not quite as wintry, really. So out in the west, it's a lot milder there. But of course, we're under high pressure, so it will be quite cold from frost. But the snow and the cold upper air temperatures are through the Midwest and particularly up towards the east and into the northeast as well, with this little area of low pressure. That low pressure will move out into the Atlantic as we go through into Friday, and then we'll build high pressure through the Midwest and into the east. Actually start to draw up a milder southerly wind into the Midwest. So Midwestern states will begin to turn milder. Where we've got the snow in the east and the northeast on the ground of this area of high pressure, it will be very cold on the surface, of course, with the snow cover. But milder push of winds moving up from the south into Midwest and going out to the west, actually, under this area of high pressure in these western states. So reasonable out of dry and quiet weather coming up through there. Through the weekend into early next week, again, the jet stream is moving northwards, and we are sort of pulling the wind into the west across many parts of the state. So we should see those cold temperatures receding back towards Canada through the early part of next week. Generally, most parts of the state should be early part of next week will turn milder. There's the upper air temperatures for Tuesday, showing that the coldest of the areas we're seeing back into Canada. But we have got a pool of extremely severely cold air sitting over Canada, and that will be moving southwards later next week. But early next week it turns milder, so we should see a thaw of the snow in the east and the northeast in the early part of next week. But then we get this big area of low pressure developing. Whoops, let's just get rid of that. Then we get this, don't want to do a malware bytes update in the middle of the video recording, do we? So then we get this big area of low pressure developing through these central parts of America. And it'll be on the northern and western side of this low that we start to pull in the brutal cold air out of Canada. So that's how the upper air temperatures look through Wednesday. Generally, most parts of states looking mild, particularly like for these southern and eastern states. Actually, we do get a push of much milder upper air temperatures. But then on Christmas Eve, next Thursday, 24th, this deep area of low pressure will start to push eastwards. And behind that, let's get rid of that again. Behind that, we will pull in some very cold air from the north. It will begin again to plunge a brutal cold air through these midwestern states as we go through Christmas Eve, as those milder upper air temperatures are pushed over towards the east. As Christmas Day, major storm is raging on Christmas Day, with this deep area of low pressure taking initially very mild southerly winds and heavy rain through to eastern parts of America, and then pulling down brutal cold northerly winds from Canada and blizzards through those midwestern states. Look at that upper air temperature profile. Wow, for Christmas Day. Very mild air pushing, or even quite warm air pushing up the east coast, but brutal cold on the northern and western side of that area of low pressure pushing through the Midwest. So there will be a rapid transition from heavy rain initially on the eastern side of below to blizzards on the western side of below. By the 26th of December, that low is then pushing from the Midwest in towards the east and the northeast, taking those brutal cold upper air temperatures with them. So Christmas Day could well see heavy rain turning increasingly to snow by Christmas night on the eastern side of America. And, I mean, we're talking about temperature going down to minus double digits. I would have thought minus 20 Celsius is possible through those. I know that you sort of do it in Fahrenheit in America, but I would have thought like minus 20, definitely possible Celsius through those Midwestern and Eastern states by the time we get through to just after Christmas. That is an extremely cold plunge of air. The first real sort of plunge of brutal cold that we've seen this winter. It's happening right over Christmas. I said at the start of the video, it's only a short plunge of very cold air. So by the time you get through the 27th of December, we're beginning to see milder air advancing back up from the south once again. So after that very cold plunge of air, just over Christmas, day between Christmas and New Year, we'll see the cold receding away towards Canada, and it will start to turn milder. Although we do keep some really quite cold air going in the far northeastern part of America, but generally, particularly through the Midwest, it does start to turn milder as we run up towards the New Year. And then we head to New Year itself. As far as we go for GFS Day, is to New Year's Day, and we're still looking relatively mild actually by that point. Some cold air is just to the far north, but generally after that plunge of brutal cold air over Christmas, it does begin to get milder. Out in west, which I haven't spoken about much in this forecast, because the focus is very much in the east, where we've got snow and eventually those very cold temperatures. But out in west, it's always going to be a lot milder, I think, through there. The ECM, the Euro, looks like this. So again, we're shaping up to have quite a lot of cold weather in the east and the northeast over the next day or so. There will be the snow coming across those eastern and northeastern parts of America. Then we get the high pressure reaching in from the west as we go over the weekend. We'll settle things down. We'll be cold under that area of high pressure, though, of course. And then we're going to next week, and we're watching this deep area of low pressure developing and pushing eastwards over the Christmas period. Again, pulling down those brutal cold temperatures out of Canada. Very mild on the east side of below, up the east coast, but much, much colder through the Midwest. And then we get these very cold northerly winds plunging through into Christmas Day. Look at those upper air temperatures for Christmas Day. Extremely cold with the upper air temperatures then. And then by the time you get through to just after Christmas into 26th December, those brutal cold upper air temperatures are pushing into the extreme eastern part of America. So by day temperatures, as far as we go, 26th December, it does look very, very cold in the east and the northeast America. Much milder out in the west. And we've already established that just after this, we probably start to push those brutal cold temperatures away to the northeast. CFSB2 finally, so these 500 millibar heights break down to weekly periods. The first week period takes from the 15th to 21st of December. Coming week has a ridge in the east, low pressure up to the northwest, jet stream doing something a little bit like that. So relatively mild for the week ahead. This doesn't really show the cold plunge over Christmas. This is the anomaly for 22nd, 28th of December. It does show the trough up to the northeast, but it doesn't show those brutal cold winds out of Canada pushing southwards as much as like the shorter range model output is showing. So I'm not sure how seriously we take this really. Week 3, 29th of December to 4th of January, again low pressure up to the northeast. That does suggest more of a northwest southeast alignment to the jet stream. And then week 4 is the 5th to the 11th of January. Trough of low pressure from the east part states, ridge out to the west. Jet stream and the flow doing something like that. So another very cold plunge is possible there into the east of the northeast through the middle of January. Temperature anomalies in the week ahead from the 15th to 21st December. Cold in the far east and southeast, mild for many other parts of America. Week 2, this is when we got that brutal cold plunge coming down through Midwest and the east. 22nd, 28th December, just was very mild through most parts of the state. So I'm not sure how seriously we take this CFSV2 run. Things are overdoing the temperatures here, especially for the east and the Midwest. Week 3, 29th of December to 4th of January, again looking very mild. Again, I'm very unsure how seriously we take that. Week 4, 5th to 11th of January, looks colder perhaps in the east and the southeast. I don't think we take that overly seriously though, especially over Christmas period. Precipitation is dry in the east in week ahead, wetter in the northwest. Week 2, I should say, over Christmas is generally dry in the east south. Again, I'm not sure how seriously we take that because we're pushing a very big trough of low pressure through if the shorter range models are correct. Week 3, just looking generally quite dry, and week 4 also looks generally quite dry as well. But again, I'm very unsure how seriously we take that. Right, so the focus at the moment, of course, on the snow in the east and the northeast. So yeah, it's going to be some heavy snow in the northeast for the far east and northeast America, and then of course it goes milder over weekend to the early part of next week. But watch out for that brutal cold, absolutely brutal cold, plunging in from Canada through the Midwest and into the east with heavy rain initially and then blizzards over Christmas. Wow, how exciting. We'll be back later on to see whether anything as exciting as that is going to be happening in the UK and across Europe over Christmas. I don't think it will be, but we'll be having a look anyway in the 10 to 14 day update that will be live streaming from 6 o'clock tonight. So I shall see you live at 6, but for this one, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.